Right, there are new UK license rules that are kicking in for over 70s from this month, July 2025. Did you know about this? Do older people in your friends, family, social circle, do they know about this? If they don't, you need to tell them, share this video, get the word out there, because this is major. You need to know what's going on. Right, so if you are turning 70, well, first of all, happy birthday, congratulations. But this month, you will be getting birthday cakes. You may be getting some candles if they can fit them all onto the cake. But you may also be getting invites to do eye tests, to get a doctor's note, and maybe even a surprise from the DVLA in terms of spot checks on your mental health and condition to drive a vehicle. That's right. The rules around driving license renewals for the over 70s are getting a major overhaul of their own this month. And if you are one of the UK's, or you know somebody who's one of the UK's 6 million senior drivers, then this video is essential viewing, because I will explain everything that's happening, what the changes are. Now keep in mind, this is not a ban, it's not a restriction, but there's going to be more that people have to do compared to what they had to do before, and potentially this could impact the freedom finances and even that, you know, weekly jaunt down to the social club for a lot of elderly people. So put the kettle on, stay tuned, I'll explain everything right after this.
A brown card guy.
Right, so the way that it worked so far was that when you hit 70, your license did indeed expire, but renewing it was laughably easy. It was a simple declaration form. You just had to tick a few boxes, you had to confirm that you're not falling apart, and you'd be back on the road. There weren't any medicals, there was no vision check, there was no fuss, and the renewals were free. They were every 3 years, unless there was some reason for them to ask further questions, so in case something was flagged up in your health or whatever. But there have been increased concerns about elderly people on the road. There have been some tragic incidents, and all of this has triggered a massive rethink at the DVLA. So from this month, from July 2025, things are getting stricter. What will you need? GP fitness to drive forms. It's no longer enough to self-certify. If you are flagged due to health condition or medication, your doctor may need to sign you off as roadworthy. Vision testing. Standard eyesight checks could now be required as part of the renewal, especially if your medical records raise concerns. Cognitive screening. Mental alertness checks may apply, particularly in cases involving dementia risks, strokes, or neurological disorders. Random medical spot checks. Yes, even if you've passed the renewal and you've got everything, the DVLA may still call you in for a surprise health review. Conditional licenses. You may be reissued a license, but with some restrictions. Daylight only driving, for example, or no motorway use, or automatic vehicles only. The vehicle period for the renewal is the same. It is still every 3 years. Technically, it's still free to renew your license, but because of all of this, it might take longer and it may cost you money. Hey guys, if you're finding this video useful or helpful, then make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Very important to get the message out there on things like this. Plus, you know what? Support independent journalism channels like mine, and you can do that by supporting us at patreon.com, coffee.com, or right here on YouTube by taking out a voluntary subscription. You can also check out my books. I've got 3 of them out. There they are behind me. The first one is an all-action thriller. It's a novel about the war on cars. It's called the ULEZ Files. The second one is a collection of 13 short stories that are written over 20 years relating to cars, sci-fi, and the general human condition. And the third book out this year is about doing what I do and how to do it. So if you're keen to get into this field, you need a copy of that. They're all available on Amazon and Kindle Unlimited. If you buy one, I would greatly appreciate it. Make sure you leave a review if you like it. If you didn't like it, don't leave a review. Right, so let's talk about what those potential costs could be. A GP letter or examination. Well, technically, if you can go to the NHS doctor and get it from your normal GP, then it shouldn't really cost you anything at all, but good luck getting an appointment, quite frankly. Good luck actually seeing your doctor. And you know, they're overwhelmed as it is. So maybe you might have to go private. That could cost you anything between 30 to 80 to more than that in terms of pounds alone. An optician test. Again, if you meet certain standards, certain requirements, certain conditions, you may be getting an annual free eye test anyway. Or if you don't, then that again could cost you between 20 to 40 pounds. If you want to get the post office to help you sort out the form processing, etc., that costs around £21 for them to do it as well. So that's already the cost adding up, and don't forget to renew it, because if you do that, that could mean £1,000 fine, plus your insurance would be invalidated, so it's not worth the risk. There's something else that you need to keep in mind, because this is something that hasn't just happened now, but this was always the case. There are restrictions when you turn 70. Automatically, a couple of categories are removed off your license. I didn't know this actually, but I don't know if you know this, but basically C1 and D1 license categories were removed. The C1 is medium goods vehicles, vans up to 7.5 tons, and D1 category is minibuses. And if you wanted to keep that on your license, you have to submit a D47P form, I believe, and you also have to get a medical examination, get your vision checked, and you have to do all of this by post. So if your granddad or somebody like that is running a business out of a transit van, then he might actually have to prove that he can still drive that vehicle in order to carry on earning his livelihood. Now, to be fair, this isn't just a UK thing. There are countries like Australia, Canada, Japan have already started using age-based medical retesting to various degrees. It's all about risk management, not necessarily about ageism, as many critics will say it is. There have been incidents, there have been tragic incidents, even right here in the UK, a couple of fatalities which led to UK judges slamming the DVLA's self-certification system as defective and calling actually for mandatory cognitive screening for over-80s. So some would say that these rules are overdue. But critics point out that this could just punish perfectly healthy drivers otherwise. It also maybe puts extra pressure on overwhelmed GPs, as I've already said, or the NHS system. And in fact, it does discriminate based on age rather than ability, which is, of course, an inherent part of this system. So what do you need to do to be ready for this, or your grandparents or parents or anybody that you know that might fall into this category? Well, to stay ahead of the game, schedule a GP checkup if you can, book an eye test, keep a copy of your renewal letters, check to see if you need that C1, D1 category, or C1, D1 categories. Plan alternative transport if you think there's going to be a gap between you getting your license renewed. And be honest, just tell everybody about your conditions, because if you don't, and God forbid something happens, you could invalidate your insurance, you could get prosecuted, and of course you could hurt yourself and other people as well. So this is quite an important thing, quite frankly, right? So July 2025, this month, brings more medical accountability. It's not a driving ban, but there are more restrictions, there are more hoops to jump through, unfortunately. But if you don't do that, it could affect your mobility, independence, and might also affect your finances as well. So with this video, share it out there, spread the word, tell everybody about what's going on, especially if you know elderly people in your family, or if yourself or your friends or whatever. Let everybody know. Think about this. Also, love to hear your comments. Let me know, do you think this is a sensible safety net? Do you think that people are ready for this sort of change? Do you think it should be even stricter? Let me know. I want to hear your comments, and I look forward to catching you all in the next video. Shout out time, guys. Thank you so much. Hey, if you enjoy my content, why not get involved? Buy me a coffee. You can do that at either of these links. Or if you're watching on YouTube, buy me a thanks or take out a membership. It all helps. It really does.